Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to quickly make these really easy crown cookies, perfect for a princess theme party, so stay tuned and I will show you how. That I use some sanding sugar and glitter crystals, a crown cookie cutter, and some violet food coloring by Wilton. The shimmer dust is optional. I have a little brush and I have these little candies which I will be using. The white ones, some in the large and some in the small. Alright guys, let's get started. Alright guys, to get started on this cookie, do have your little candy pearls ready because you will have to stick those on there when your icing is wet. If it happens to dry before you add your candies, you can also just put a dot on there and then just add it onto your dry icing. So here I have a tip 3, but you can use a tip 2. I just like to use it because it could flow the icing a lot quicker. And I just fill in the crown really quick because I do have to fill it all and blend it in and smooth it out and still have time to put the pearls on there before it dries. So just go ahead and fill it in. Alright, so now that everything's been smoothed out, go ahead and put your little pearls on there. Put the bigger one in the center and the little ones on each side. 2 on one side and 2 on the other. And then just set this aside to dry, give it a few hours. That way when you go over it with your icing, it doesn't blend in. And also it has to be nice and dry and crusted, so when we go in here with the white and add the crystals on there, it doesn't accidentally puncture your icing. Okay, so the icing has had time to dry, as you see here. Now I'm going to go over it with a little bit of water so we can adhere some of that sanding sugar. Alright guys, so I have here a nice soft brush that I'm going to dip into just a tad bit of water, and then I'm just going to just kind of cover it just a little bit with water and then put some of the sanding sugar. Now make sure that you are using sanding sugar and not the crystals. We are going to be using the crystals for another crown, but do not add these larger, crunchier crystals. You will be using the one that is very, very fine. So I'm going to take this brush and then just lightly grab just a little bit of water and then just brush it on there. Don't brush like a tremendous amount on there because it'll thin out your icing. And I do have my cookie on top of this tray because I will be pouring in those the sanding sugar, and I want to make sure I put that back into my container once I'm done. I don't want to throw away my product. Okay, so I don't know if the camera catches it, but it's starting to look kind of tacky. So that's what we want because that makes it more like a glue. So as you see there, it's going on really nicely. It's sticking on there pretty well. Gotta hurry up before it starts to dry. If it doesn't pick up on some spaces like here that it's not grabbing very well, you can add some water once you're done with the rest, but don't do it now because then the rest of the cookie is going to dry, and then you can always come back to that. Okay, so I'm going to grab another brush and I'm going to brush this the crystals from this side here because I'm going to be putting that white icing here. Now there's just some spots there that didn't grab any. I'm going to go back with my brush and just grab a little bit more water and then just do the same thing. Okay, and now here to the side. And you know how I am a big fan of this disco dust. You don't have to use it, but it does give it some sparkle. When this dries, it's gonna look really pretty and sparkly. I don't know if the camera catches it, but it gives it a nice little sparkle to that. Okay, so I'm gonna set this aside for just a second. I just want to make sure that the water dries before I go on there with my white. So I'm gonna move on to my next cookie while I let this dry. Okay, so here I have a tip number 2 in a somewhat medium consistency. Just going to fill the bottom remaining part here. And then grab your crystals. And this is the crystals, not the sanding sugar, but you can use the sanding sugar as well if you have that on hand and don't want to buy this kind. You can certainly use that as well. I'm just using this one just to kind of give it a different look to the other one that I did with the sanding sugar. It's the only reason why I switched it up a little bit. Okay, so just get a little brush and brush this off, and then just set this aside for a little bit. Alright, I'm back with this one again, and I'm going to get this one done quickly because it's pretty simple. And I'm just going to fill this out at the bottom with this white. Nothing's going to go on here, it's just going to stay plain because we have so much going on up here. And then while this is drying, I can go ahead and go on and add the little pearls that I will be doing with the icing on the top, since we're going to give this time to crust. And then we're going to do the little shell border here at the top. Okay, well, with the same tip, number 2, and with the same icing, I'm going to go right under here and then do one little pearl. Here I'm going to do 2, one slightly smaller than the other. And if you can't get a hold of these candy pearls, you can do this as well, as you see here. Just make sure you bring these little peaks down, that way they can stay nice and round. And don't move this too much because we want to make sure that this icing attaches to the sugar, because it's not getting put on directly onto the dry icing. It's on top of that soft, kind of loose sugar. Because if I were to pick this up and turn it to the side, some of the sugar is going to come off. So I want to make sure that this dries on there, and it will. I'm going to show you this one that I already started on. As you can see there, I'm touching them and they ain't going anywhere. So, but you have to give this time to dry. So I'm going to set this to the side, give it some time to dry, and then I'm going to come back and do that shell border, and then that's it for that. Alright guys, so now back to this one. I did give this just a few minutes to crust. I will go over it with a little bit of the shimmer here, since that's all I'm going to have there. And then I'm going to go here with a tip number 16, and I'm just going to do little shell borders. Now this is a little bit more on the thicker consistency, and then just pipe and pull. And that's pretty much for this cookie. Take this off here at the end. Now you can write the birthday girl's name here. You can pipe that on there, or any of the other guest names. You can add that on there. You can put happy birthday, or you can continue on adding more pearls, whatever you like. I mean, the designs are endless. You can just add more or do less, whatever you like. But so far I'm going to leave it like this, and I'm going to move on to the next one. Here's what it would look like if you would completely fill it with the pearls. What I'm going to do with this one is I'm just going to brush a little bit of this glitter on here, because it's going to be pretty simple, so I want something to be in the background to make it sparkle a little bit. So I switched my icing tip here to tip number 1, And this is the same icing that I used at the bottom here. I haven't changed it. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to add little pearls down here. And this is another thing that you can use instead of using these pearls here if you can't get a hold of them. Is just pipe your own little icing pearls and just go ahead and pipe it like this into a little ball. I'm going to do 4 on one side, 4 on the other. And the ones on the inside are going to have 5 because they have a little bit of a longer space. So then make sure that you bring down the little peaks to keep them nice and round. On the sides here, just do 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Try not to put them too close to the bottom or touching the crystals because I want to go over it with a border here. You don't have to, you can leave it like this and you'll be done. But I'm going to add just a little bit of a border. Put these crystals just for a little bit, and that way when I put my little border here, I don't damage these here. Okay, so back to this one. I have here the tip 16 with a thicker consistency, still in the white. You're gonna pipe and pull. And pull. You can do one straight line. I just thought this would give it a little bit more texture. And that is that for this one. I added a couple extra pearls there with the royal icing just to make it a little bit different than this one. That way you can make an extra design for your crowns. That way you can at least have 3 different ones. And it's very easy, just add 2 pearls in between each gap. So if you have the gaps there in between the pearl lines, just add 2 royal icing dots, little pearls in between each of the lines, and you'll get another design. Alright guys, that is all for this video. I do have a Sofia the First gown, dress, cookie, and a separate video. Maybe you want to pair those 2 up for your Sofia the First party or any other princess theme party. Something very simple. I did this in the lavender and the white, so it might go well with that Sofia the First dress cookie. So anyways guys, I thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like up the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't done so, and I will talk to you soon. Stay tuned for more guys. Have a good one.